I'm super excited. I'm also very, very nervous. So this is the first time doing a lecture from my side in the on Twitch. I am, yeah. Hi everyone. Hi all students. Hi all non-students. Could be louder. Okay. I hope it's a little louder now. Good. So I'm very excited, but also very nervous. But it will be a really, really fun lecture, especially the coming ones. So this one is especially to see whether or not it works, whether or not the setup is fine. But I thought of some ideas which might be fun in the future, also with small little in-stream games, and yeah, guest speakers and so on. So even though we are having that game dev lecture this time online, we don't know yet for how long, if we will have on-site lectures again in April or May. But anyhow, we will have really, really cool lectures here. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them always in this Twitch chat or also on Discord in the private channel. This lecture today again is a little bit about testing the setup, if everything works. To give you an overview how the lectures are structured this year. There are a lot of changes, obviously, but again, it will be one of the coolest year hopefully we had so far, because we have really cool assignments, we have really cool guest lectures, and yeah, let's see how this works out. Good. How is everyone? I hope we can still make this sort of an interactive lecture. Again, I don't care if you're a student in Graz or if you're just interested in this sort of topics, interact with us, talk to us. So how is everyone? How are you doing? In the meantime, I'm gonna start with the lecture set. So it's game design and development 2. Today is the introduction and a little bit of a recap. Doing well and doing fine, it's nice to read. We will constantly have recaps of Game Design 1 as well, because I feel since we are a little bit, we are opening this lecture set to a wider community now, it's also nice to do more recaps to give back the content of TGD1 also to the community. I have no idea yet if I stream even eventually more often. But all the lectures are recorded on Twitch anyhow, so even if you cannot attend the lectures live, you can still always use Twitch to watch the lectures, I think from up to 14 days ago. I don't know, anyone knows how long it's recorded? Okay, anyhow, let's start with the introduction. The schedule and the concept is very similar to Game Design 1. Anyone in the chat attended Game Design 1? Then give me a small ping. We will again, I would love to use Twitter a lot, because Twitter's so many Game Dev 1 students. Hello, cool. So we want to use Twitter a lot. I know this was not used that often in Game Design 1 this year, but I mean, we have time now. It's a very good way to actually show off your work. It's really, really cool way to connect to people outside of your hometown, outside of your area, to famous developers all around the world, and show off your work. And for those who attended Game Dev 1, you did so many cool things, and you could be really able to show it off also on social media platforms like Twitter. So if you want to push something on Twitter, please use the hashtag TOGameDev, or anyone else can also use this hashtag if you just want to show the community what you're doing, and if you have any questions. But that way, when we look for this hashtag, we can push and promote things which are cool. And again, we have the course website, gamelabgraz.com. I'm very sorry that everything is a little bit slower than the last year or than usually, but we had to come up with an entire new assignment system. I hope you understand. So also that's why the website took a little bit longer. For now, the schedule changed. Oh, this lecture is faster than many other ones, so it's fine. Okay, that's nice to hear. Let's see, no pressure for the next ones. So the schedule is usually we will have this online Twitch sessions at the moment at 6:30 p.m. on Mondays. So usually, as you know, it's Friday around noonish, but I want to really invite more guest lecturers. Maybe there's a cool opportunity to have really cool guest speeches from overseas as well, and that's why Monday 6:30 is a little bit an easier time to invite guest speakers than Friday noon, I guess. So I hope this is fine with you. Again, obviously there's no need, so you don't have to attend the Twitch lectures, even though I really appreciate interactions in the chat and with you guys, because as you know, the game dev lectures are usually something which is really interactive, and I feel like that through that way you can still have it that way. Okay, so 6:30 Monday, usually every Monday, until we know more details whether or not we will have real on-site lectures again, then we might change that. So, but for now, let's keep Monday 6:30. And usually I want to start with a small game discussion. So every week you will get a game, which we will discuss 1 week later. We will have every week I put out there one GDC talk, which we can also discuss. Watching the GDC talk is optional. Playing the game every week, at least for a little bit, is not optional. This is something which you really should do. However, watching the GDC talk is nice to have. I will, in the next week, then start discussing a little bit the content of the GDC talk, and whoever wants to add something, please feel free to add this. Then there will be the main lecture, again also with some references and recaps to previous to GDD1, and hopefully, so the best way would be to have a guest talk, a guest speech every week, but I need to figure out whether or not this will really work with Skype or how we'll deal with that. But yeah, will work. If you have any questions, you can ask the questions all the time, either in the Twitch chat or again in a private way on Discord. And afterwards I will come to the Discord, or did I create that? Yes, to the Discord voice channel. If you go to Discord, in the very bottom one, there's a general voice channel. I will join this channel, and everyone who wants to ask questions or do a little bit of the discussions, please join this channel as well. So this is a voice only discussion then. Good. For the weekly game discussions, I hope this link works. You can otherwise, oh no, yeah, does the link work for you? Everyone can edit. Does this link work for everyone? Because it should get you to this sheet. Okay, cool. The link works. So this is an open sheet which everyone can even edit. I fully trust everyone. And you can add games. I will I will take some time and delete all the ones which are not free. Please add only free games or games which have a free demo available. So this one, for instance, would work because there's a free demo available. And then every week we will pick in a very democratic way another game, which will be the homework to play and to analyze for next week. So you, I think you already know this sheet, but we need more games. Good. And this year we will also, from lecture to lecture, get a little bit of a new criterion to analyze the games. So every student should have something which we call the gameplay diary, like a reading diary, but about playing games, very shortly, just a small abstract, just a few words about what was this game about, what's the genre, what would you change, what would you like, and so on. Just a few words about the game. Good. This is the weekly game discussion, and we will start with that every time. And then again, every week I will also put GDC talk recommendations and or scientific paper recommendations about games out there which are relevant for this specific lecture. This is nothing you have to do, so you don't have to watch a GDC talk or you don't have to read the paper, but it's more like a weekly reading group. And then 1 week later I will give you my comments on that, and it would be nice obviously to also get some insights from your side. Yeah, so this is like the main idea and the concept of this lecture. At the previous years, but that's why I still want to have this GDC talk recommendation there. Previous years we always had a GDC half an hour, which was actually pretty nice, where we just watched together in the lecture hall a GDC talk at the last half an hour of the lecture. But again, we will figure out plenty of fun ways to also have a cool, interesting insights and so on. Good. Any questions so far? Any feedbacks? Any feedback so far? Then let's go to first homework. So the first homework, the first game which you should play is Folded. How do we vote on the games? That's an excellent question, Claudia. I will. I already thought of that, obviously, in a democratic way. What about we use the Google Sheet? No, that's not a smart idea. Yeah, no, we do use the Google Sheet, and the ones I start with, as you already see, in the Google Sheet there is already well prepared a voting table. Oh, Discord post with different emojis. Yes, that's a perfect idea. Wait, so what are we gonna do? So the ones who you really like, just make one mark, like this one, right? And at the end of the day, if it's all of them, I will pick 5, whatever. But I will pick 5 to 10 and post them to Discord at the end of the lecture. So for next week, it doesn't matter because we have one. But for next week, I will pick the ones where you added. I add one for Dwarf Fortress already. Okay, there you go. So here, if you feel you want to have one, add a star. I added one to Dwarf Fortress and I add one to the Lion Song. And I will then pick up to 10 of the ones which are marked. If it's all of them, I just picked 10 random ones and move them to Discord. And in Discord, in the private channel, you can then vote with emojis. This is a fair way because you can then only vote once. This idea was prepared well in advance. I hope this is fine with you. Good. And the first homework will be playing Folded. Folded is actually pretty cool. Because Folded, you heard about this game already in Game Development 1. but all of a sudden it became super relevant again. We only talked about this as a game with a purpose. A game with a purpose, again, is a game which has a specific purpose to solve specific problems. For instance, making the world a little bit better, or helping people to make their chores, for instance. Also gamification is sometimes a wording which comes in handy when you talk about games with a purpose. Or so what was the name of the game? The original Pokemon Go, which was developed by Niantic, and was a Google game. It starts with I. Ingress. Ingress was the name of the game. Ingress, the purpose of Ingress was actually to help Google to collect more pictures about the environment, because people started taking pictures, submitting them. So this was a game with the purpose to collect pictures. And Folded is a game, a puzzle game, which has a purpose to help researchers, doctors, to find interesting and helpful protein structures. So folding protein structures is still a task which is super challenging and cannot be done in a through proper AI algorithms. So usually the human is still better in finding interesting folding structures. And you can actually help solving puzzles around the coronavirus at the moment and submit them. So basically, the more complex the structure becomes, the more interesting it even becomes for researchers. So the homework until next week is to play this game a little bit. Think about what are the interesting parts, what are the fun parts, what do you like about playing about this game, what would you improve. Our Chronosila has a very, very good point. The Stanley Parable from the Epic Store is free until March 26th. Who has already played Stanley Parable? This would be actually a really cool second homework, I guess. Okay. And the GDC talk, I recommend watching for the next week is called How to Make and Self-Publish a Game in 12 Months by Matthew Biglione. I think so. Okay. So I'm looking at the chat now. So the discussion for the next free game is between Stanley Parable, Watch Dogs, and Tomb Raider. I think Watch Dogs and Tomb Raider are fantastic games. I love both of them, but might be a little bit of an overhead for this lecture. So maybe let's focus on Stanley Parable. But it's a very, very good point. I love Watch Dogs and Tomb Raider. Watch Dogs was a really cool inspiration for games research, by the way. Games research is this field where you want to learn a lot about the user and the experience with the games. And Watch Dogs was delayed, I think, quite a lot because they found issues with the user experience. So not actual bugs in the game, but they wanted to improve the user experience in general. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I heard. Good. So how to make and self-publish a game in 12 months. Sounds like a perfect talk for us. Good. And you are probably very curious about the assignments. So as I already posted in Discord, this year's assignment is a little different. So usually we have VR games, and usually we can go to London. So for those who don't know the previous years, what we usually do is that some students, up to 15 usually, it's all of the students who like to go, were able to work together with students from London, and then first the London students would come to Graz, and then we would go to London and develop games together with them. Unfortunately, because of the current situation, this is not possible. Just a point here. we might be able to offer something like this in the summer holidays though. So if you were already looking forward to something like this, I'm not saying that this cannot happen at all this year, but we might make it happen in a different format. Just that you already sort of know. And if you wanted to work on VR games, and if you wanted to work on hardware games, because this is usually the other thing we do in GDD too, there will be plenty of other opportunities after we were able to cope with this current situation. Because obviously you would need to share hardware, you need to exchange hardware for that, and we don't want to put anyone onto a risk. And obviously if you would have a VR system at your home, we cannot consider or we cannot assume that everyone of your group would also have a VR system at home. And this would be a pity, and also other people would need to test it, and that's very unfortunate. So if you still want to work with VR, I would ask you to make VR as an add-on, or again, there's plenty of other options. So if you want to, you can work with us on a bachelor thesis or a master thesis or any other project. I'm sure we will find options for you to be able to work with VR anyhow. But I think the topic we chose is super nice. So at this situation, it gives us a lot of thoughts, I guess. So the topic this year, you can basically create anything which is in your mind, which touches the topic of the current situation. So this can be, for instance, something which is related to the coronavirus. This can be interesting simulations, social network simulations, epidemic spreading simulations. This can be resource management games. This can be games just telling your story being under quarantine. This can be games which can help other people to go through the current situation. For instance, gamification-based applications which help you to do some sports every day or to learn something. It can be also educational games, because right now, of course, there are a lot of schools and a lot of students are suffering that they're not able to work. So if you want to make a contribution here, you can do this too. So to summarize, it should be somehow touching the current situation at the topic. This can be either in an aspirational way, this can be in a very personal way, this can be in a scientific way or technical way, this can be also in an educational way. So a lot of freedom, and I feel the topic is pretty cool, and I'm actually thinking of doing a game at the same time as well while you're working on your games. What do you think about that? Any questions around that? And there are pretty much no constraints. We would, to make it a little bit more interesting compared to GDD 1, it would be fun if there would be multiplayer components to it. So for instance, that if it's a game where we can then play it together, this would be obviously also a very interesting point. But obviously it doesn't have to be multiplayer, because I think many of those I love simulations games, so that's why I have so many things in my head. And yeah, good. I think, yeah, that's pretty much it. And in terms of local multiplayer, it's if you have someone to test with, it's fine, absolutely. But again, we won't put any constraints here. If you can have at least 1.5 meter distance, that's a good point. Then a local multiplayer is super fine. And again, in terms of constraints, it could be interesting to use this time the Unreal Engine instead of Unity. So I know that many of you already used Unity. I'm just saying maybe it's a nice time. It's not a must-have and a must-to-do, but it would be nice to use Unreal Engine, that you also learn a different engine. So usually if you already know Unity, and I know that most of you already worked with Unity, won't have any issues with that, with working with Unreal, but it gives you definitely another piece to your portfolio. And many things you're doing here and you're doing in my lectures are really also created that you have pieces for your portfolio. And why is a portfolio important? If you want to get a job in the games industry, for instance, or also at other companies, they want to look at projects in your portfolio, projects in your CV, and usually, yeah. Oh, thank you, Ami, for putting already the getting started from Unity documentation from the official Unreal Engine website out there. It's fun to see that they have something like that. Okay, good. And this year we also want, in terms of groups, again, you will work in groups. Again, I want to give you a lot of freedom this year, at least in this lecture. So I think group sizes between 3 to 6 would be okay. Usually 4 to 5 is the goal. Those are usually good group sizes. But again, if for some circumstances you want to have a different setup, that's fine too. What I also want to see this year, I want to see some screenshots every week. So some sort of weekly progress update, but pretty much just in Discord. So we have the Discord channel, and it's super nice to see what you're doing, what you're working on. Again, I will share things too. The outcome should be, please, something we can play in the best case in a web browser. Because I think the nicest thing would be that in the end we can play each other games, and the best way to do that would be to have something which works in a web application. If for some reason it does not, we can talk about this, but please aim at making a version for a web application. Chronosilo put the magic word out there, Screenshot Saturday. Screenshot Saturday is happening every Saturday on Twitter. And if you already put GIFs or small screenshots out there for us on Discord, you could eventually use it for Screenshot Saturday already. Let me quickly show you how this looks like. Screenshot Saturday. Sorry. Okay. So if I am on Twitter now and I look for a Screenshot Saturday, and then I look at it, this is basically just very small GIFs. Most of the time GIFs work best. I'm fine with you if you want to have the Screenshot Saturday every Monday. This would be actually fine. This would be actually fun. So basically this is just posting a small progress, very small progress about your game. So often it's also that you make a few of those videos on one day and then post it over the next couple of weeks. Sometimes it's really just the current progress, but it's just, yeah, lovely to share what you're doing. Good. And also please use Screenshot Saturday and the hashtag #GameDev. It would be so cool to have more of you on Twitter. There you go. Here's some things happening already. Oh yeah, we just saw Stefan's post. Fantastic, cool. Good. The Ninja Cat asked, when is the deadline? I'm going back to the slides. I have, I'm well prepared. So similar to what you did. Oh yeah, Pooh's Mama. We saw yours too. Which one was yours? So very well prepared. Here's the list of the let's say hopefully the dates for the lectures. Again, as you can see, we're switching to a Friday here. So let's hope we will be in classes again. We'll figure this out. And again, it will never be unfair if I see that we're missing a deadline because of any other circumstances. Everything is, yeah, the health and the situation will be absolutely considered all the time. So nothing will be unfair in this course. I will just always keep me updated if you need any extension or whatever. Good, but the current year is, we have some individual assignments as well. Okay, good. I don't have the, yeah. And for the group assignments, you should submit a first prototype already in a month. Fast prototyping. Why is that? Similar to GDD1, we really want you to build a very rough and quick prototype as soon as possible. So this sounds very, very fast, but actually it's also, it can be a very rough prototype, just showing off the first few ideas, mechanics, whatever. So this is what, as you know, this is the way how we really like to work in the fast but iterative work. And then you also submit a QA feedback. Similar to last year, you will send your prototypes to the other group, to one other group, and another group will look at your prototype and give you feedback. We will have tutoring sessions before submitting the first prototype and before the final presentation at least, to give you feedback whether or not your online multiplayer open world game with actual bike physics might be a little bit overhead for the course. We will give you a recommendation if we think this might be too much. And yeah, okay, good. And yeah, the game diary. Oh, and the individual assignments. And similar to every year, we will have some individual assignments. What I can already mention here, so this will be a fun one. This will be about photogrammetry. Not spoiling anything, but this will be fitting to the topic of the first lecture about photogrammetry. And there will be another thing which is a little bit different, which is called the announcement group topics AI, to make the GDD2 also a little bit more advanced. We will also think and learn about different more advanced AI topics. So this will be one of the technical focus topics of these lectures. And as part of that, you also have to work as a group on a small presentation around one specific topic. So you will get a list of topics, and every group can pick one topic and then make a small presentation around that. And you need to involve one of the AI concepts also in your game. So this is, again, it's a little bit more advanced course compared to GDD1. So this will be one major part too. Good. And then for the final presentations, for the final game presentations, Similar to GDD1, you will have two options for a deadline. So either at the end of the official semester, which is end of June. So this is especially important for those who are here on Erasmus or need the grade for some reasons earlier. And then a less stressful version, because I know that you will have all your exams probably at the end of June. We always have this second also official deadline, which I think most of the people tend to use, which is after the holidays, so that you have not a lot of pressure to work on your games. In the meantime, in the middle, there's also the game dev days. Can you remind me of the dates? I think it's the 11th to 13th is the official dates of the game dev days, and all of you are invited to present their games also there, if you want to, obviously. So there's some sort of exhibition space that if you feel you have a cool game you want to show off, please use this opportunity. Yeah, but I will talk about this more once. Yeah. Good. The main topics that you get an insight about what these lectures will be all about. So we also have a little bit of a recap where we think again about the main concepts from GDD1. I will repeat the most important ones. Again, I also want to have this Twitch stream as open as possible for those who were not able to attend GDD1. Either students from TU Graz, but obviously also the ones who just want to join this lecture set coming from somewhere else. Then we have some selected topics. So the selected topics are usually focused around the different phases of game development. I will talk about this in a second. We will also have selected topics about creating assets, for instance, through photogrammetry. We will talk a little bit more about story and balancing, puzzle design, so those are more the game design topics. Then we will talk about interesting technical topics around programming. This will include AI and security aspects in games. And then we also will talk about the quality assurance in games research and games user research in games, and also data analysis. So it's kind of a mix of various selected topics. But I just need to go to this slide. As you can see, this is pretty much in line of a traditional game development process. So this is a rough sketch how the development process would look like. So you would start with the idea. Creating an idea can take a second, can also take a month. And as a result, you get a game design document. This is this idea sketching phase where you also identify target groups and so on. Then you have the pre-production phase where you also focus on game design. You make the first recommendation. You choose the technologies. This is the strand around technology aspects. You design the game mechanics. This is this game design strand basically, and you would start drawing things like concept art. This would be the asset. This one strand. And as a result of this phase, this can take a few weeks, can also take a few months. You would get as a result a financing plan, a business plan. This is also a lot about how to finance your project, a project plan. And usually what you would do, you would create here a very rough prototype too. Because this here is also the phase where you go and start pitching your games. So this would be a... Oops. Sorry. Just did something. Okay. So this would be also the phase where you start pitching your projects, because then you know more or less, okay, how does your game look like? What are the most interesting parts? You would make a vertical slice where you show off, let's say if your game would be in the end 10 hours, you would like to have at least half an hour of gameplay showing all the major features of your game if you go to investors. So you would need to have a rough prototype for people to play with and get the concept of your game to get funding. And once you are here, this is the interesting phase. This is where you hopefully either got funding or is looking for funding, but then you can start with the actual implementation. You can create all the interfaces and the design elements, and you create all the assets, the models, the graphics, the user interface, the sound, the whatever. This is also where the QA testing already starts, up to the launch. And the launch is actually what you can see here. This might be interesting. So marketing should obviously already start earlier. So as soon as you got the first budget, let's say, you would put a lot of your budget into marketing. And then you work towards your launch. And again, in the technical side, even after the launch, you need to consider already things like creating patches, create extensions if you work on community management, create new assets, create new levels, and again still continue with the marketing. And if you look back to the game concepts, I tried to really get one selected topic out of of each of those phases to give you some insights. And also our guest speakers this year will hopefully cover different aspects, because we only have those 2 courses at our university at the moment, Game Dev 1 and Game Dev 2. So I think it's important for you also to get a very, very broad range. Good. Any questions to that? Okay. So one other aspect I want to mention about this course. Probably all of you know the waterfall method. So this graph I just talked about is more towards the waterfall method, where you start with a very clear concept and requirement analysis, and then you do the design, then you do the code, and then create all the assets, and then start with testing and debugging. This is not a very flexible model. So this means that if you see here in the testing phase that something did not work out, or the design or something is not the way it should be, or users would prefer something else, then its changes are very, very expensive. And this is a little bit of an outdated model and is not used so much anymore, but it still gives you a sort of a first structure. But especially in this course, we work in a very iterative way. We use an iterative process. So this means that we make very small prototypes, make a small addition to this prototype, immediately test it, see whether or not this addition was good or not. If not, we toss it. If it was good, we immediately add it, and iterate until we have a ready to ship game. And again, we will make 2 main rounds within this course for your games. So you will start with a concept, then you will send us this first concept. You add your concept into the design document. Based on that, you will implement a prototype. Of course, within your group, you can make many of those iterations, but then you will send us and another group one of those prototypes. The other group will test your prototype and give you also external feedback, because as you know, playing your own game all the time again and again, it's probably, yeah, the feedback will be nice probably. And then you will again get feedback also from us and from the tutors, and then we have one more round and until you present your final game, let's say your final game prototype. Hi Matthias, thanks for joining. How are you doing? Yeah, we need to think of different ways how to present our lectures now. So let's see how this works out. Okay, good. And for the last part of this lecture, because I'm already soon running out of time, I just figured, I want to talk a little bit about the game design process and the ideas, how to create ideas. There was also a question about the iterative method. The iterative method is pretty much, it's Scrum is basically a form of agile development or iterative development. So Scrum, if you're interested in Scrum is the entire project management method actually. Scrum is not only the iterative design method, it's just really about designing the small little game. This is something you can do also when you create a pen and paper game very quickly, or a tabletop game within 4 hours. This is this iterative design. Scrum would be the entire project management method. This would mean that you are actually you're having daily stand-up meetings. You have a sprints. Sprints are usually like 14 days, I think. And one sprint would be then used to create this game prototype. Some sprints are even shorter. Maybe we can invite an expert for a talk on this in one of the next guest lectures. But very good question, thank you. I'm just interested who used Scrum before in the chat. So for the last part of this lecture, I really want to talk more about this idea finding phase, about how to make brainstorming, how to find cool ideas, and this should give you also this the first insights in order to get your game abstracts ready, which you need to send to us, again similar to TGD1, that we can look at your games and also see what groups are working together. So many people already used Scrum. Thanks for pointing that out. It's a fantastic method, and even if you're working in a group as a student group, this is a very, very good work for project management. By the way, I also can recommend using Discord or Slack for now that you're working all online to do your game projects. Absolutely cool way to do that. Good. So if you think about your game, what I always like is that every game, at the heart of each game, there's a very solid concept. So if you think it's a unique concept, and you should be able to think about your game in just one sentence. You should be able, it's like an elevator pitch, but what much smaller and nicer. Just one sentence. So if you think of Doom, those are some solid concepts I found somewhere. A space marine blasts its way through hell. As easy as that. Angry Birds. Birds used physics to take vengeance on pigs. Monopoly. Own everything. In the chat you can in the meantime think of ideas like what would be a cool one sentence concept for Farmville, GTA, Goat Simulator, or Sims. Or who is playing Animal Crossing or the new Doom already? What would be a one sentence for Goat Simulator? Goat Simulator. Venture into the soul of neo-capitalist culture of today's society as a deep critic to routine forced by the elite on the Yes, this is absolutely a new version of it and I love it. Goat Simulator Goat, also legit. The Sims is a family simulator, yeah. I heard many stories about swimming pools though. What about Farmville? Do you still know Farmville? Is this like an old game? The Sims Play Your Life. It's also good. For The Witcher, I heard GDC talk about The Witcher, and they wanted to again also find investors, and they sold the new Witcher through the concept. It's like Skyrim, but with a story like Game of Thrones. We have more. The Sims Pretend That Your Life Doesn't Suck. Farm will pay $4.99 to complete this task. Also legit. The Witcher Toss a coin to your Witcher. The Sims Buy more DLC to approximate real life. GTA Slice of Your Life for criminals. Yeah? Good, very good. Farmville, lose your life on it and still be worse than your mom. Oh. Okay. I actually like this way of teaching. Thank you for this cool Twitch activity. This is a lot of fun. Good. And ideas, obviously. So I think that this year's topic is really, really cool, and I'm pretty sure all of you will find fantastic topics around that. But still, we will start with brainstorming tips. All of those are based on Jesse Shells, and he has this really fantastic book, The Art of Game Design, and he describes different lenses, and he also starts with how to find a proper idea. And this is basically a list of ways how to do brainstorming, and I really wanted to just leave them here as a starting point for your own creativity. What I also do, for instance, I always have something like a game development journal, game idea journal, and that's why one of your tasks is to also create something like a game diary, which will be in your case virtually, but in my case I have a game design journal like this one. So basically this is something which I keep with me most of the time, because you never know when you get some cool ideas, and I just write down things which I found interesting, whether if I read an interesting book, for instance, found a cool artist, found a cool art style, was in a gallery, took some pictures and so on. And writing down thoughts, just random thoughts, really helps. And also sketching, even though I'm not an artist, I love to do some small little doodles and do some small sketches. Using toys to visually engage your creativity usually also helps. So what I have, it's weird, but I have those things like these always on my desk. Also, like just having things, being able to think about concepts like that. Also, if I think of an interesting game, I see people cannot concentrate anymore because of cat action happening. Okay, but having something visually, not only visually, but also being able to play around with it absolutely helps. So yeah, if you create a game with an interesting mechanic, maybe you can 3D print, or you can use some sort of I don't know, some toys, some cubes, whatever, to just try out your mechanic. Good. Then there's this idea of mix and match. Obviously, it's important that your creativity is pushed by various. Oh no, I think I just lost the connection. Hello? Sorry. Okay, I think I just lost the connection for a second. Okay, good. The motto just added Rory story cubes. They are fantastic. So you can buy them in a toy shop or online in a toy shop, in a local toy shop online, hopefully. Rory's story cubes are fantastic. They have different images on each side, and it's super lovely for inspiration. We used it for game jams sometimes, when we wanted to come up with topics, because usually you see a picture on each side or a word, and then you have to come up with stories. But it's also working really fine with game ideas. Then what I love is this mix and match category. Sorry, my headset is becoming weird. Okay, sorry. Okay, so basically you think of a typical technology, and then you start mixing it with random things. It should be sim-like, it should be a simulation game, it should be fiction, it should be Tetris-like. The winner makes most friends, and you mix it with any technology. So there are online creators which help you finding those ideas, which I stopped showing live in lectures, because there are some weird things too in there. But again, you can, for instance, write on a few sheets of papers different technologies. It should be mobile, it should be in instant messengers, it should work over Bluetooth, it should use this device, whatever. Then you have the specific game mechanics. Simulation, interactive fictions, Tetris, whatever. Then you have the aesthetics idea. For example, it should be a comic style, it should be black and white, it should be anime. All characters are animals. Anyone already started Animal Crossing? Metal music defines the game. So all about the style, whether it's artistic, whether it's art in terms of drawing or 3D models, or it's audio, just defining different artistic ideas. Okay, I'm sorry, I just need to fix my headset right now. It's constantly talking to me. Okay, good. And obviously things like talking a lot and finding brainstorming partners. So what I do love a lot is also talking to others. For example, I'm going for a walk inside my apartment now, and talk a little bit to myself, have a cup of coffee, have a cup of tea, and yeah. And obviously finding brainstorming partners. So people tend to have a little bit of a I'm sorry, it's just my headphone is constantly talking to me. It's one of those Bluetooth headsets, and it just found a different device. I'm sorry for the interruption. Okay. So a lot of talking, and you can even use your voice recorder on your phone if you go for a walk, or if you're inside and just talk to your voice recorder. That's usually a really good way for brainstorming. All tips which work, by the way, for writing do also work for games. So I often read a lot of books about writing, for instance Stephen King's on writing, or Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. Those are usually also really good resources to find new ideas, how to get your game started. Good. Then, once you have your idea, the question is your idea good enough? Jesse Shell describes different ways here to see whether or not your game is good enough. So the first one will be an artistic impulse. Does the game actually feel right? You already have a very good feeling about games in general, I guess. This is also usually a good way that you should play a lot of games yourself and look at games from a different angle and different perspective. This is also one of the reasons why we have the game diary this year. Because as a better gamer, you also become a better game designer. But you need to look at games from a different perspective, through different lenses. Then obviously looking at demographics, will the intended audience like the game enough? So usually you think about the audience of the game, but at the end you can never be sure who is actually playing your game in the end. Sometimes you're surprised who is the audience of your game in the end. But that's why it's important to talk a lot with other people about your game. Don't be shy about talking about your game ideas with other people. There's so many people out there who want to make good games and have so many ideas. So again, this is full of ideas, and I would love to have just the time to make all of them happen. And this will be pretty much the same with you. And so don't be afraid that someone is stealing your idea, because yeah, probably nobody has the time to steal good ideas, and it's way more better to just talk to people, and they want to help you improving your game and your idea. And if they say, oh no, I'm the audience you might think this game is designed for, but I don't like the game, so that way you can learn, and that yeah, that's important. Okay. Innovation, is the game novel enough? This game novel enough? So pretty much the idea here is that you think about the different concepts of a game, about the game mechanics, about the game style, about the techniques you're using. Is there at least one unique and innovative selling point in there? Are you combining things which haven't been done before? Is there a novel aspect there? Because again, just simply copy pasting won't work. It's okay to use other game mechanics as an inspiration. That's absolutely okay, and that's what all games are based upon. We cannot invent everything from scratch, but there should be some innovative aspect about this. Then the obvious ones. Yeah, the typo in the last one, it's his game novel. I'm so sorry about this typo. This game, not his game. Is your idea good enough? Business marketing, obviously, will this game sell? A good resource to always look at the current target audience is the Entertainment Software Association report. I think we again will look at this together next time, because I don't have it open. I just find the ESA report of 2014. Oops, sorry. We can look at this together next time. But let's see. Look at Steam. What are currently good selling games? What is the current why? What games are at the moment interesting to people? What is the market like? I mean, if you now focus on an old console, if you now create all your games, might not be a perfect business case. However, for instance, there's still a market for old Nokia games in South America. So if you know about this market and you know that you can create games for this market, why not? But you need to know the market, and you need to know how and where to sell this game, if you want to sell it, obviously. Then engineering, is it technically possible to build this game? I have full trust in all of you that you can cope with this question. And playtesting. Again, testing. Testing is so important. And yeah, do playtesters enjoy the game? Are they the target group? If yes, do they like it? If not, do they still like it? Would there be an option to make the target group even bigger, and so on and so forth? So it's all about testing. Yes, and at the moment adding a battle royale mode can help, but maybe the market is ready to overload it by all these battle royale games. I think 3 battle royale ideas are in there too. I will get there at some point. Okay, we are coming to pretty much the last part, which is the game design document. So this is something you already used last year, and which you have already seen before. Oh, Amir just sent us the current ESA reports. Let's quickly look at this one first. Thank you so much, Amir. Up. There we go. Okay. Okay, I keep this at the other sheet. In the meantime, I'll keep talking and we'll talk about this apparently in 5 minutes. Okay. So the game design document. I'm very happy that for the rest of you it loaded immediately. I'm super happy that my internet worked for the stream. I was super afraid that this might be an issue, but hey, here we are. Okay, so game design document, as you already know, basic introduction, where it describes the main concepts of a game, maybe background information, maybe some story, maybe some inspiration. I mean, you will use the LaTeX source again, which I provided on the GameLab page. Obviously, you can extend it if you want to. Then you could describe the key features, what genre is the game supposed to be, what platforms are you aiming at, and eventually some concept arts. And I want to, oops, let's remove Twitter here. I want to show you some game design documents of others. So this is called Race and Chase. This is a game design document from 1995, very old one. Author K.R. Hamilton. Typical content, the scope, some references to Sima games, target system, specifications like story, players, action, the gameplay, the world landscape, police, physics, how it should look like. The aim of Race and Chase is to produce a fun, addictive and fast multiplayer car racing and crashing game which uses novel graphics method. The game will be set in a present-day world. There will be 3 cities with a different graphic style for each city, for instance New York, Venice, Miami. There will be many different missions to be played in each city. This is so that players can get to know the routes through a particular city. Action. Players will be able to drive cars and possibly other vehicles such as boats, helicopters or lorries. Cars can be stolen, raced, collided, crashed. Trying to steal a car may result in an alarm being set off, will of course attract the police. And I already see it in the chat. So what game is this? We have objectives, we have demolition derbies, we have cannonball runs, bank robberies. This, as the cookie slash already mentioned, is the game design document of GTA than the original one, back then called Race and Chase. Then we have documents like the Doom Bible from '92, the original one, by Tom Hall. So if you have this, they made a really good job. So they took writing a game design document serious. This is, I don't know, 80 page. Okay, maybe not so serious, but it's still 80 pages with some ideas for the monsters and a glossary. Yeah, no, so again, also for the big games and also for early games, game design documents have always been important. I have one more here. Leisure Suit Larry from 1991 from Sierra Online. Also 80-page document, which is just like, it grows over time. Design considerations, thought on the game design and so on. Oh, pretty lovely plot. Yeah, this is done very well. Okay, this is just as an inspiration for you, that you can see that, okay, this is not just the homework you need to do, but this is actually used in the industry and has always been used in the industry. So game design documents are an important one. And again, please use the one I provided on GitHub, on GD template. Again, if you feel you want to extend it, feel free to do so. When I write with LaTeX documents, especially together with others, I use Overleaf. Overleaf is a really cool software tool for that, because you can immediately get the preview here. And you will start with this one-liner, again for Witcher, Skyrim, but with the story of Game of Thrones. See? Game of Thrones. There we go. And should be already edited in GitHub as well. Good. So basically, just an overview with the main concept and the unique selling point. References. Here, the references are basically, again, games which are a little bit similar. Then more specifications. Who is the target group, or what do you think will be the target group? What is the main genre? What is the art style? And then again, I will do a little bit recap too about the fun elements. But if you think about Hunike's 8 kinds of fun, please also describe what are you focusing on in your game. Add art examples. Yeah. Good. Then gameplay. What mood and emotions would you like to create? Like in general, is it a game doesn't need to be fun. Not every game is fun. If you play this War of Mine, that's not a fun game. And yeah, of course you can keep the art example in your game. It's actually my other cat, which is a little bit shy. But mood and emotion, again, in Doom everything is okay. Yeah, it's around a little bit horror, it's a little bit what emotions you want to create, maybe a little bit of fear, maybe a bit of maybe frustration sometimes, but or if you play Animal Crossing, what emotion are you having here? Discovery, maybe some sort of a happy emotion, but create this mood sheets. Not shy, stalking, be prepared for who is playing Doom right now? Just curious. Okay, then description of world, objects in the game, characters, and so on. If you have any questions, again, most of you already took part in GDD1, so you know what is expected here. But again, for those who are either not in this course or just interested. So this is free on GitHub. You can see it on the gamelabgraz.com page. I'm probably the only person in the world writing game design documents in LaTeX. It is how it is. Sorry for that. You can always create a PDF out of it in the end. And Overleaf is really cool to edit the game design documents. Then the technology aspects, the target system, the hardware development system. I will add here also one paragraph about the AI concepts used. Okay, this is a bit about describing the topic and how did you include important topics such as diversity, for instance, that you did not make only I don't know, white male characters in the entire game. So just consider diversity and accessibility. And we removed this. This was based on a different theme a couple of years ago. So we removed this one for this year. And accessibility again is a super important topic. How just with a few clicks you can make your game so much more accessible to other people. For instance, if you consider color blindness, or if you don't make only audio guides in the tutorial, but also, for instance, add a lot of subtitles and so on. Okay, obviously the marketing and publishing strategy. Estimate timeline, which should be pretty close to the timeline of your of the course. And for time estimation, this is also a tool which I can really recommend. This is called Hack and Plan, and this is really designed for game development projects. Yeah, this is an overdue project, but basically here you can, it's like a Kanban principle where you have the project name, then you have the different tasks, you can describe deliverables, and you can, in the programming, art section, design section, writing section, marketing section, you can really customize all the tasks and assign it to people. That's a super cool tool. Good. And then obviously the team and the credits. So this is the game design document. Any questions about the game design document? Okay, good. So I think this is the end of the lecture. So if someone still have questions, please ask them now. Otherwise, I will join the voice channel in the Discord in a few minutes. If you still have questions specifically for the Graz course. And yeah, if you want to keep up this discussion, please also feel free to use the TOGameDev hashtag. The lecture, I think, is online for a couple of days, weeks on Twitch, I think. And yeah, I hope for you it was also interesting. It's a different lecture format for me too. I'm glad that you were patient, and thank you so much for joining, and I hope we will have a really cool GDD term. And please, everyone, stay safe and stay home, and see you at the next stream. I stream sometimes games too, so if you just want to hang around, feel free to join those, but just saying, lecture streams are definitely different. So see you next week for the lecture stream. Bye bye everyone. Thank you.